Come on in, everyone. Come on in and let's talk about this Ready to Love finale. Y'all, I really enjoyed it. I have really enjoyed it, and I've actually really enjoyed this whole season. I'm telling you, I know a lot of you didn't like it, but this season I think has been one of my favorites. I know it was a little bit different than we're used to, but I actually enjoyed the cast. I really did enjoy the cast. They gave us a lot of good things to talk about. I had a lot of good laughs. I had a lot of material and content for these videos because some of these ladies, including Jeffrey and Morgan, y'all kept me busy. Y'all kept me busy all a season long. And you know what? I thank you. Thank you. But let me tell you, this finale, boy, oh boy. And before I get deep down into it, I do want to tell you that I did see the clip at the end where they said Blue is dating someone for last season, Miami. Now, you know, I did that little matchmaking special video I did where I paired up the ladies of this season with the men of last season of Miami, just in case they want to hook up after the season. They both in the same city, but I had never done the reverse. I had never paired up the men with the ladies. But now that they mentioned that Blue is dating someone from the past season, I said, well, shoot, I might as well go ahead and do it. So after this video, don't leave me so soon, click on the video and I'm going to give you my prediction of who I might think Blue is dating based on what I know about the ladies of last year and him of this year. So I got that coming up. Also, I'm going to do the Put a Ring of video. That link is going to be after this video as well. And then look for me on about Monday where I'm going to do a No Romance Without Finance. I've been doing that for some of my other shows, Married at First Sight, but I'm going to do one for here for Ready to Love, No Romance Without Finance. And we're going to talk about some of these money issues that went on through this season. But let's get into it. Let's get into this finale because, woo, I called it right about Morgan. Didn't I call it right? Didn't I call it right about Morgan? I tell you, I should have put more money down on her. I felt like I was like at Vegas or something. And I kind of thought she was going to do it. And all I put down was like a couple of $100. So, you know, maybe I won $1,000. I should have bet the house. I should have bet the house on her because let me tell you, she lived up to exactly who she is. And that is she's vengeful. She's vengeful. And if people say, well, no, she shouldn't have chosen Tony. She absolutely should have not chosen Tony. But the way in which she went about it, it was vengeful. It was vengeful. And I knew Morgan was not going to miss a moment. Because like she told us before with that narrative here, she likes a grand exit. And she had a speech prepared, a sermon, quoting scriptures. This girl. And on Good Friday. The final takedown for Morgan and Tony happened on Good Friday. Do you think that OWN planned it like that? Do you think OWN planned it that the final takedown of the Bible thumping people happened on Good Friday? Well, shoot, I sure hope Tony don't rise from the dead on Sunday. I hope he ain't gonna rise from the dead on Sunday. Morgan took him down on Friday, and we sure hope he don't rise from the dead on Monday or on Sunday. But anyway, let's keep going. So it started off with the final brunch. It started off with Tommy saying, hey, this is going to be the final brunch, and y'all going to have to go ahead and meet some of the family members of the ladies. I was like, okay, I thought we were supposed to be seeing the end, the finale. I didn't know we was going to get some more dates with family. I was thinking, how are they going to get all this into one episode? The dates with the family and then also the decision at the end. But they got them decisions real fast, and I'm intermingle them. So first of all, we're going to start off with my girl Mercedes. I was dancing, y'all. I hopped off my seat. I started dancing. I was so happy that Mercedes told Marc Anthony, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. Because let me tell you, I was really saying to myself, Marc Anthony out here playing games. And as it turns out, that soothsayer, that fortune teller, that tarot card reader, whatever you want to call her, that came on here, she was dead on about Marc Anthony. She was dead on about him. Because when Mercedes, the dagger on Marc Anthony came, when she was sitting there talking to Marc Anthony's friend, This was last week. And Marc Anthony's friend told her, well, Marc Anthony's going to be moving back to New York. How's that going to work? And Mercedes' eyes got big, and she looked and she said, this is the first I heard of this. This is what she was saying in her head. This is the first I really, really heard of this to this degree. And what that soothsayer had said was Marc Anthony still had emotional ties back in New York. That's what she had said to him. You still have emotional ties back in New York. And then she had told Mercedes in her reading that you might be wrapped up in some type of love triangle threesome. We never knew if it was a love triangle here with Jeffrey, but I had the impression back then that it was another woman involved. And now I know for certainty that there's a girl back in New York, and that's who Marc Anthony is going back with. Because then Mercedes revealed that to her friend, when she had her friend come meet Marc Anthony, that Marc Anthony's last breakup was because of a long distance. That was the issue, which means that girl in New York, him in Miami, and they were trying to date long distance. They broke up, but it really ain't over. And when that girl heard he was on Ready to Love, things started happening. We know what this looks like. We know exactly what this looked like. And Mercedes is smart. She put all the pieces to the puzzle together, and she took care of business there. She came looking fly. She came looking good. She sat there. She gave a good speech. There's one thing Mercedes is really good at. She's really at turning you down, but doing it very nice, in a nice way. She ain't like Morgan. Morgan likes to lace it with vengeance and mean stuff. But Mercedes, she says it really nice. She even came up with a nice metaphor when she said, I would be a boat with no sail. She said, Marc Anthony, if I stay with you and you over here running around to New York and I'm looking for a man who's going to anchor me, I would be a boat without a sail. Very good, Mercedes. Use them metaphors, girl. Use them metaphors, them similes, them whatever you call them in the English language. Use them, girl, and use them well. And I think Marc Anthony was shocked because Marc Anthony believed this whole season that Mercedes was 10 feet up his butt. And he felt there was nothing he could do to get Mercedes to say no to him. He put so much energy into Jeffrey, and he took Mercedes for granted. And guess what? Mercedes delivered. She delivered the verdict, the answer that I needed on this Good Friday. Get it, Mercedes. And let me tell you, when they had the little Meet the Friends date, it all made more sense to me at the end. Because when they had the Meet the Friends date and Mercedes brought that hit woman, because that woman was a hit woman. That woman was a hit woman that Mercedes brought. That girl, she was out of control. And you know how I don't like it when women bring around friends that attack men like that. I think that's a bad move when you're trying to build a relationship with a person, because that's the same thing that James did to Cynthia. I don't like friends like that who think all of a sudden they need to come in here and protect you. That's not what you need, girl. What you gonna do, beat up the man? It's almost like a fake act. Like, oh, I'll come get you if you mess up my friend. Girl, you ain't gonna do nothing. What you gonna do, beat up a whole man? You know, it's almost like they're trying to mimic the days when the fathers used to threaten a man, like, if you don't do my daughter right, I'm gonna do this to you. But back then, they really did it. They really did get their shotguns. They really did do that stuff. Now you got women threatening men when they meeting the men of the women. Same thing happened on Cynthia's date. Women, stop doing that. Women, stop going on dates, meeting your girlfriends, boyfriends, or wannabe boyfriends, and then threatening them, talking about, if you don't do this, I'm gonna come get you. You ain't gonna do nothing. Let's be honest. What you gonna do? Roll up there and exact violence on a man? But anyway, it all made more sense. Because when I saw Mercedes say, well, my mother couldn't make it, I said, hey, Mercedes, you ain't got no mama to come? But now that I realized Mercedes had already made up her mind. She already knew what she was going to say. And she told her mama, you don't need to come here. There ain't no reason for you to come here and meet this man, because I ain't going nowhere with this man. Because if I was with him, I would be a boat without a sail. Even that little girlfriend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my girlfriend that I know is going to get in it. She's going to get in it. And what I'm going to have her do is I'm going to throw Marc Anthony to the wolves, because that girl was a wolf. That girl was a wolf. And Mercedes threw a Marc Anthony to the wolf. and ate him alive up in that conversation, because she was like, I don't have no use for you anyway, so I don't need to protect you, because you didn't protect me throughout this whole season. You was over here sniffing up behind Jeffrey. The only time I ever heard Marc Anthony give Mercedes a compliment was in this elimination, in this finale, when she showed up in that nice black dress, looking good, looking fine, and he says, oh, you look gorgeous. And now you gonna tell her you look gorgeous, when all the other episodes you was too busy talking about how fine Jeffrey is? How fine Jeffrey is, and now all of a sudden she look gorgeous. Well, you know what? I'm glad you think she looks gorgeous now, because she's like a bye-bye Marc Anthony, and I loved all of it. I loved every minute of it. And let me tell you, that girlfriend of Mercedes grilled Marc Anthony and started exposing him for all his weak points, and started talking about, you look like you stubborn. You look like it got to be your way. And you know who else had said that? That same tarot card reader had told him the same way, that he was stubborn, and he admitted it. And you know what? I forget that Marc Anthony is from New York. You know, Morgan's brother over here talking about how Tony's from New York and the personality of people coming from New York. But now we know it's clicking that also Marc Anthony's from New York. And Marc Anthony really thought he was going to run some game on Mercedes all the way. I was so happy for Mercedes. I was so happy she stood up for herself. And I always knew that Mercedes was very, very smart. And I really didn't want her to get with Marc Anthony. At first I did. In the very beginning I did. But I came to find out that Marc Anthony, nah. I really do think he was in this just to play games. He really didn't have no real interest in Jeffrey, except to maybe sleep with her. He definitely would have slept with Jeffrey. He absolutely would have slept with Jeffrey if Jeffrey would have allowed him to. But Jeffrey gets hers in the end too. We saw them previews. We're going to talk about it all, y'all. We're going to be talking about it all. So make sure you pour yourself a cup of coffee. I don't know, a shot of vodka, whatever it is you drinking on this Saturday. Some juice, orange juice, grapefruit juice, cranberry juice, water. I don't care. Because we're going to be here a minute. Because I had a good time. And whenever I'm having a good time, I talk. So anyway, let's keep going. When Marc Anthony was talking to that friend, he was like trying to defend himself. Talking about, well, me and Mercedes, we agree on some things. We both live unconventional lives. And Mercedes was like, I'm not that unconventional. Make sure you get approval and agreement on definitions of words before you start saying we think alike. And I think what Marc Anthony thought when Mercedes said unconventional lives, it was not the same thing as what she was saying. And she kind of made it clear last week when she said, I believe in unconventional lives, but that doesn't mean I believe in not being committed. She's like, no, I'm not going to be a part of your harem. I'm not going to be a woman on your court. You know, a woman that you can just mess around with and do this over here and then do this over here with a bunch of other women. She goes, no, that's not what I'm talking about, unconventional. That's not what I'm talking about at all. And Marc Anthony, he got that all mixed up. But now we're going to move on to the Tiger Slayer. One last time for the road. The Tiger Slayer, Morgan. Morgan said, you know what, I'm going out with a bang. I am going out with a bang. If y'all think that Morgan was going to miss her opportunity to exact vengeance on Tony on national TV, no way was she going to miss this opportunity. And like I said, I really should have put more money down on it. On this little, what she was going to do at the end, because she delivered. She delivered on the Good Friday, taking the tiger down, and then she went down with some scriptures quoting of what love is. And let me tell you, the reason why it's vengeance is because of how she gave the speech and how she put down Tony. Now, if she wanted to just say no to Tony and say you're not ready to love, she could have simply gave a speech like, something like Mercedes said, you know what? I don't think we're right for each other. There's some things that went down and, I didn't agree with it. So I think at this point it's better for us to go our separate ways. That's just a simple breakup. That's a simple, you're not ready to love, a breakup. But Morgan said, no, I need to whip out the Bible on you. I need to hit you over the head with the Bible. I need to tell you about yourself, who you are, how you're not ready to love, how you're not a good person. What else was she saying about Tony? She said, I don't even think you know what love is. You see, all this, no matter if it's true or not, her speech was laced with vengeance. There's a difference. There is a difference. And that's what I tell you. That is the spirit of Morgan. Her spirit is filled with vengeance and she can't resist it. She can't resist it one bit. I'm going to tell you something. When people have a bad habit like she has, they're going to become very easy to predict. She's going to lose her edge out there in the world because once a person can call what Morgan's going to do in a situation, they can get the upper hand. They can get the upper hand because you become a one-trick pony. It's because you're addicted to it. Like I said in the last video, it's like an alcoholic. You know, if I know I'm dealing with an alcoholic, I know that if I put a bottle in front of it, and more than likely they're going to drink it. Now, what I can do is I can use that to my advantage. And that's Morgan. Morgan is going to lose her disadvantage out here in the world when people figure out that she's addicted to vengeance, that she's addicted to it. Then they're going to know how to get up underneath her skin. They're going to know how to bait her. They're going to basically be able to control her because they're going to know what she is addicted to. And what she's addicted to is absolutely a vengeance. But she came, let me tell you, before they had the elimination in the final showdown, she had her brother meet Tony. And she let the brother go ahead and threaten Tony too. And here is Morgan talking about the aggression of Tony, saying, you know what, he's aggressive. And then the brother said, well, if you get aggressive with Tony, then I'm going to have to get aggressive with you. It's just a whole lot of aggressiveness going on. It's a whole lot of threats going on. It was a lot of threats this episode. I mean, you had Morgan's brother threatening Tony. And what did Morgan say? Morgan even had to chime in. After the brother threatened Tony, Morgan said, well, it's not a threat. It's a promise. This girl, she can't stay away from a fight, y'all. Morgan cannot run away from a fight, not one bit. I guess she is the girlfriend to take with you. If you know you about to go to a fight, if you say, I'm about to go to a fight because you a fighter too, I guess the girlfriend you should take is Morgan. Because at least you know Morgan ain't going to run the other way. Morgan going to run to the direction you run into if you run into a fight. That is why Jeffrey picked the perfect person to attack Blake. If you think back, when Jeffrey needed a friend to fight with Sue-Ann and Blake, Jeffrey, because I tell you, she's a manipulator. She knows how to do things to manipulate people. What Jeffrey did was Jeffrey said, which female in this group can I manipulate the most to help me take down Blake and Sue-Ann? And what Jeffrey knew, because she could read women, she read in Morgan that Morgan likes to fight. She read in Morgan that Morgan likes vengeance. And what she probably did was she went over to Morgan on the side and she filled Morgan's ear stuff with some ears to get her all pumped up and ready. And then she sent Morgan out to do her dirty work against Blake and Sue-Ann and everybody else. Because Jeffrey is very good at reading people, and what she's very good at doing is reading you and then using it against you. She's very good at reading you, what you need and what you want, and using it against you. I mean, it doesn't last forever because people figure it out. But in that moment, in that instance, it works. And it worked on Andre. Okay. But eventually Andre figured it out. And now we see at the end, this reunion coming up, he figured it out. But guess what? It worked on him in the moment. I'm not going to believe that Andre had a whole plan just to do this to Jeffrey at the end. No, he didn't. He was buying everything that Jeffrey was selling. He was buying it all. He was not acting. He was not smart. So I'm not going to hear none of them theories. Oh, he never liked Jeffrey. He just used Jeffrey. No, he wasn't. He was in it all the way. Jeffrey had him all the way up her butt. He absolutely did. Now, was he ever going to marry her? No, he wanted to sleep with her. He wanted to be with her. He wanted her to be his arm candy at all his fancy events. Because remember, he's a Forbes man. He goes to events, clubs, dinners, all this other kind of stuff. And he absolutely wanted Jeffrey on his arm at those events. He did. Absolutely. But anyway, let me get back to Morgan and Tony the Tiger. I also couldn't believe that Morgan sat up there and brought up the whole situation with Tasha again with her brother. So here she is talking to another person about who Natasha slept with. So not only did she share with the whole cast, and now she's running around telling her brother about this woman. I don't know. Morgan don't know how to keep her mouth shut. Morgan just likes to use things to stoke the fire. So she got her brother all hyped up too. Like she said, my brother's not even really like this. This really isn't even his character. But Morgan fueled the fire so that when he had this little run-in with Tony, he could kind of let it all out on Tony. And Tony's like, I'm from New York. And that man said, I know you from New York, but that New York stuff don't work down here in Florida. Let me tell you, there's a lot of New Yorkers down in Florida. I bet that is really changing the dating scene, because New Yorkers, they are a distinct type of person, the way they date, and their energy is so different. Even when they come to California, when a New Yorker shows up in California and starts to date, I remember back when I was dating before I was married, when they show up in California dating, you could spot them a mile away. You can spot those men a mile away. You can look at them and go, where are you from? The East Coast? You already know where they're from. New York. They date so differently. And now they all infiltrating New York, Florida, because Florida is a cheaper cost of living. They all been run out of New York because New York is so expensive. Now they're down there in Florida. And Florida people are about the sunshine and laid back, the Lindens of the world, island people. Most of these people are here from the islands. They laid back and everything. And now you got all these aggressive New Yorkers down in New York, mixing and mingling. And I bet that's probably why that dating scene down in Florida is such a hot mess. It's such a hot mess, because you got laid back people who's supposed to be Florida people, and then you got the aggression of New York, and these people are trying to mix and mingle and date each other, and it's a hot mess. You could tell. You could tell. It's like a gumbo that don't even, like, what kind of gumbo is this? What kind of mixture and gumbo is this going on? An island laid back person who's trying to be laid back with New Yorkers. It's a mess. But Tony tried to wiggle out of his explanation, talking about, well, we were just two alpha males going at it with, I don't really know if I even call Lyndon an alpha male. Don't be trying to put it on Lyndon. Don't be trying to put your aggression on Lyndon. Tony, no, you might be the alpha male. Keep it to yourself. But I don't think Lyndon was. Lyndon ain't no fighter. Lyndon's a lover. He is a lover, not a fighter. Lyndon ain't trying to put up no dukes. He ain't trying to take it outside like Tony was talking about. Lyndon ain't trying to take it outside. The only thing Lyndon is going outside to do is to lay in the hammock and go to sleep. The only thing Lyndon is doing outside is to lay in the hammock, go to sleep, and sip on a drink. That's about it, and dance to some music and laugh. He ain't going outside to fight. Tony was a mess. But after Morgan laid her speech down to Tony, and we hear Tony in his little confession talking about Morgan's going to have to live with what she did here today. Morgan going to live just good. Morgan slept good that night, Tony. Morgan didn't have a sleepless night. She wasn't tossing. She wasn't turning. She slept like a baby. Let me tell you, she was in her element. Anytime Morgan is exacting vengeance on someone, you think she's going to have a restless sleep? That's going to be the best sleep of her life. After she done a takedown, please. She probably went home right after that and laid in the bed and slept for a good 12 hours. A good 12 hours. She slept real well, Tony. You think she's going to be up late at night feeling guilty about what she did to you? Absolutely not. In fact, she probably going to be bragging about it. She probably taped it. She probably had a secret camera somewhere taping the whole thing so she could tell everybody what she did. Look at me. Look how I took down Tony, that tiger. Anyway, that's my last growl for Tony. That is my last. I don't know. Let me not say it's my last one. I might have to bring it out on the reunion. We'll see. Now we're moving on to Cynthia and Anthony. At first, they were trying to make it seem like it was between Cynthia, Anthony, and Andre. And let me tell you, for a minute there, I was getting so frustrated with Cynthia. I was like, this girl, she has been my favorite all along. But I'm telling you, this little stuff about she can't decide between Anthony and Andre, she was losing cool points. She was losing cool points, but I think it was just all for the cameras. I think it was all just to keep us kind of in the game, because I'm going to call it the game now a little bit. I think it was all just done for that. And I think that Cynthia and Anthony had a little secret handshake behind closed doors. I think Cynthia did what she needed to do to make sure Anthony knew that, listen, boo, I need to stay on this show. And we have all figured out that Andre needs his ego stroked. And I have to pretend like I'm here to stroke it, because if I don't do that, I'll be just like Sue-Ann and all these other ladies. They're going to send me home, and you and me, we won't make it to the end. So a girl got to do what a girl got to do. You know, when you out with your man and y'all need some special favor, maybe, you on the airline or something, and you guys, you want to get upgraded, and there's a man at the counter, and your husband say, no, you go up and ask. You know how your man will send you up to ask and say, you know what, it's better if you go. And just like you might do vice versa, you might send him up. as opposed to you going up. And he says, no, you go up and ask because you might have a little bit of better favor. So that's what Cynthia said. You know what? I might have a little bit better favor instead of you asking the man not to vote me off. I'm gonna work Andre, and so that way we'll make it to the end. That's what I believe. That's what I want to believe, and that's how I'm gonna believe that Cynthia and Anthony had a secret handshake behind closed door. They had some kind of Haitian Creole handshake. Maybe they were speaking Creole to each other and didn't nobody know what they were saying. That's what I'm gonna say. And they fooled Andre so they could make it towards the end. But I was so happy. When they finally revealed that it was Anthony at the end. And, you know, they embraced, they kissed. I mean, their words to each other was so lovely. It was beautiful to watch. I was so happy. And you know what? At the end, when they was kissing, and then Anthony, did y'all see Anthony grabbing on Cynthia's booty? We ain't never seen Anthony get this assertive with a woman. I'm telling you, he was grabbing on that woman's booty. I tell you, I'm banking on these two making it. I'm banking on these two making it for a long time. I'm going to tell you, if they are not together at reunion time, I'm going to be so disappointed. I am going to be so disappointed. The only thing that I could think of break them up is if their kids don't get along. So I sure hope that Anthony's little girl is a good little girl. And I hope Cynthia's kids are good little kids and they not bad baby's kids. I hope nobody ain't got no bad kids, because I know Anthony ain't going to deal with no bad kids. Anthony's not going to deal with no bad kids. So I hope Cynthia's kids are really nice. They're well behaved. And I hope they ain't wild like that daddy. I hope they got Cynthia's demeanor and not their daddy's demeanor. And I hope the kids get along, because that could really be maybe the only thing that could come into the problem here. But that's going to be part of my No Romance Without Finance, blended families. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some money behind that. But I was so happy. I was so happy with this outcome. I mean, they talked about, Andre talked about how Cynthia was a healed woman. And he was like, we can do amazing things together. I could see it. I could see this life, these two Haitian people coming together. They share the same culture. I mean, they look good together. This new family coming. I don't know if Cynthia had boys or if he got girls. I just don't know. But I was believing the fairy tale. Cynthia was talking about this is like a fairy tale to her. It is like a fairy tale. It's like the girl who wants to be the princess. She has always wanted to be the princess. And here she is meeting her prince. I was buying all into it because I'm a sucker for a romantic story. And let me tell you, I was sitting up there eating this up like ice cream. I was loving it, y'all. I was loving it. And Cynthia was like, I am ready to be a bonus in your life. I'm ready to add to your life, not take away from your life, be a bonus, everything. And Cynthia got away with words. I remember when she did that candle and she said, she named that candle coffee and said, because I want to be I want to wake up to you every morning. Remember that? And then this time she got away with words. Cynthia needs to write down some sonnets, some words or something and write a book, because we all need to be dropping some of these lines on our man. Cynthia got some good lines. Cynthia has some good lines. But when Cynthia had this date, where her sisters and everybody came to meet everybody, they was grilling the men too. I don't like that. I don't like all these grilling people. But you know what? But I will say this. They did come up there trying to grill Andre, and they came up there grilling Anthony as well. But you know what I like about Anthony? Anthony's so cool, calm, and collected. He's like a cucumber. He was like, I'm not going to get rattled by James before, and I'm definitely not going to get rattled by these three women that sit across from me. Anthony is so cool. Maybe it's because of his training as, he's not a doctor, but he's like y'all have educated me. He's a nurse practitioner. And I think people like that have to learn how to stay calm under pressure, because their jobs are pressure filled. They're dealing with life and death situations, high pressure situations. And I love the way that Anthony is just able to stay calm. He don't get rattled. Anthony does not get rattled. You don't see him lose his cool. Nothing. He's just calm, cool, collected, a steady Eddie. I love it. And then women was over there yapping. And Andre was like, you don't bother me. You don't bother me one bit. Next, he was like, who else got something for me? Because y'all really trying to come for me, but I ain't budging. Who's next? Are you next? You ready here to attack me? Bring it on. I can handle you. I can handle you. I love the way he did it. I love the way that he neutralized all them women. I know the women were there trying to protect Cynthia because, you know, they love Cynthia. But ladies, don't do this no more. Don't do this no more, because what you're really doing is You think you're protecting your girlfriend, but you're really hurting them because it does make the women look at them differently. It really does. So really it's kind of selfish. You think you're going in there and showing how much you love your girlfriend and how you want to protect her, but you are also a reflection of her. And when you come in there all gangster, it doesn't make her look good. So it's kind of selfish. You're doing it for your own self gratification because you want to show the man, I'll be mad if you treat her wrong. I got it. But in the end, that's not what she needs in that moment. In that moment, yeah, you can ask questions. Yeah, you can, talk about maybe what some of your concerns are, but you don't need to come with all that aggression. Stop doing that, ladies. Stop doing that. You ain't no man. You ain't the daddy. You ain't the daddy with a shotgun at the door talking about if you do my daughter wrong, I'm going to get you. Stop doing that, ladies. That is not your role. That is not your role. Your role as a female is supposed to encourage your girlfriend in relationships. Find out what the man likes so that your girlfriend can be a good woman to him. And then also find out what he's like so he could be a good woman to her. You don't need to be threatening nobody. So women, if you ever called on to do these like little dates that's done already love, don't be playing that role no more. That's a horrible role. Don't do it. Please, ladies, don't do it. But they was hemming up Andre. And they were getting to the meat of it. And then Andre revealed to us, I don't know if it was this date or was it the date with Jeffrey, that he had been a stepdaddy for 5 years to an ex-girlfriend. That's another reason why nobody didn't meet Andre. You meaning that you dated a woman for 5 years and had a kid and you didn't marry her? Forget that. I tell you, I'm telling you, this is my other thing. If men have 5-year plans to get married, women, don't be dealing with him, especially if you got children. 5 years? So 5 years you date a woman, you formed a bond with a girl's child for 5 years and then you left him too. So now this kid got the original daddy who left him and now they got you who leaving him. Men, if you're not really willing to marry a woman that's got kids in like 2 years, maximum 3 years, don't be messing around with her. Because now what you've done is you messing up that woman and you messing up that kid. Women with kids, don't be dating no man if they got a 5-year plan. 5-year plan, like I told people before, that's like somebody coming to a job, applying for a job. You tell them, oh yeah, you got the job. They go, okay, can I start in 5 years? 5 years? I ain't interviewing for no husband that don't want to start working till 5 years. That's another reason why Andre out here full of it. Andre just running these streets, running around telling everybody, I'm a Forbes man. I'm a Forbes man. And do you want to get with me? That's the same thing he wanted Jeffrey for. He just wanted Jeffrey to be arm candy on his arm when he goes places because Jeffrey's pretty. She got a nice figure and she's nice and dainty. Ugh. I'm so glad they both got in the end. I'm so glad they both got in the end. But now we're moving on to Jeffrey and Andre, and good Lord, I almost wanted to throw up when I heard their speeches. They was the complete opposite of the feeling. When I was watching Cynthia and Anthony, I was like, ooh, this is like ice cream. I was just eating it up, getting all fat and happy. And then when I had to start watching Jeffrey and Andre, I was throwing all that ice cream back up. Made me wanna gag. I had to suffer through it the whole time. Because I was like, I can't believe this man has fallen for this woman. And here she is talking about my biblical husband. And did you see when she was introducing him to her sister? I'm telling you, her sister is gorgeous. Her sister is gorgeous. Some of these men might be after Jeffrey's sister after they saw this. Knowing Andre might dump Jeffrey and try saying, can I have your sister's telephone number? Does she got 3 kids with 2 baby daddies that ain't around? Because if not, I'm going to call her up. That sister was cute. And that sister said, come on, girl, let's leave here after this and go get a drink. And maybe I can find my Boaz, my biblical husband. I don't know. I think she was kind of low-key shading her sister. I don't know, just a little bit. I think she was kind of making fun of it, saying, girl, you crazy. But she might have been serious. She really did want to find one. But she might, after being on this show, there might be a lot of people who are going to be hemming up Jeffrey saying, I don't want you, but I want the younger version of you, the one that's before all the mistakes have been made. Because Jeffrey, the after version, Jeffrey probably was her sister when she was that age or younger. Because Jeffrey is pretty. Her sister's very pretty. They got good genes. Andre said he saw Jeffrey's kids and he said Jeffrey's kids are really, really good looking kids. So I believe that. And so Jeffrey's sister is the before Jeffrey made all her mistakes in life, hooking up with men that don't even want to talk to her, that don't pay child support, and that abandon their kids. So this sister better pay really good attention to her big sister, and she better learn a lot of lessons. She better be like me. I was the youngest of all my siblings, and let me tell you, I avoided a lot of things because I looked at all my siblings and I saw the mistakes they made, and I made sure I didn't make none of them. That's one thing you get to do when you're the youngest child. You get to look at your older siblings, and whatever they do that you said, I don't want my life to turn out like that, I ain't doing that. You get the option of not doing it because you get to see it all play out. And so hopefully this younger sister has seen the life of Jeffrey, how it's all played out, and she has recognized that, you know what, I'm not doing that. I am not doing that one bit. I ain't gonna end up like my sister, not at all. But all Jeffrey and Andre kept talking about is we have this level of communication that doesn't require words. It's called lies. The communication that Jeffrey and Andre have are called lies, because we actually even see him later on in this reunion talking about he didn't know that Jeffrey had two different baby daddies and they both not around and don't want to talk to her. And them kids ain't coming with no real check. No real check. You know how much it costs to take care of 3 kids? So unless Jeffrey is getting a check, at least in the area of $3,000 or more per month, that ain't nothing. That ain't enough to take care of 3 kids. That ain't enough to take care of 3 kids. A bedroom or 2 bedrooms alone, a house, 3 kids, that alone. If you trying to go out and rent and if you was by yourself and you had a 1 bedroom, but now you got to rent a 3 bedroom because you got 3 kids and the old kids can't be in the bedroom with the young kids. So now you need a 3 bedroom. That apartment's going to cost you at least an extra $2,000 a month. So right there alone, extra kids cost you at least $2,000 a month on an apartment or a house. Kids are expensive. You got to house them, you got to clothe them, you got to feed them. Like I said, watch my Romance Without No Finance, because we need to put some numbers to these people's lives. It's not going to be no judgment, but people got to know how much their lifestyles cost. And Jeffrey, with 3 kids, with 2 baby daddies and no child support or little child support, is costly. And Andre said, I ain't spending all my Forbes money. I'm not spending all my Forbes money on Jeffrey, and she ain't coming with no check. But he started talking to that sister about, the reason I like Jeffrey is because she's the most feminine. And she is the most spiritually grounded. She's the most spiritually grounded, but she's the one over here with the most lies. She over here telling more lies than anybody else on this show. She is getting vengeance on more people on this show. And then when she can't get the vengeance, she hires her hit woman, Morgan, to do the vengeance for her. And now we're going to see in this reunion where the dainty, submissive Jeffrey is going to come out fighting, because Jeffrey going to have to be fighting a whole lot of people in this reunion now. She going to have to be fighting Blake. She going to have to fight Sue-Ann. And now she going to have to fight Andre too. Please. Andre ripped into Mercedes because Mercedes didn't even call him when he was at home quitting the show with COVID. What you think he gonna do to Jeffrey on screen? He dug in a Mercedes butt because she didn't even call him with a phone call. And you think Andre ain't gonna get in Jeffrey's butt on this reunion? He gonna get in it. Because that's who Andre is too. Because he's sitting up here talking about, I look like a fool. Here I am, the Forbes man, and I fell for the biggest scam on a Ready to Love history. Jeffrey. Jeffrey has been the biggest scam. Almost, I don't know, maybe not the biggest, but she's been one of the biggest scams on Ready to Love history. And Andre, the Forbes man, I fell for it. But that's it, y'all. Be sure to watch my other videos. Here are the links. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.